Hello, thank you for tuning in. My name is Brady Thexton, and this presentation is focused on my honors thesis titled Surviving or Thriving, Carbon Trade-Offs Between Growth, Defense, and Sexual Reproduction in Rubus alleganiensis and Rubus funiculosus in northern New Jersey, USA. Now, the primary goals of this research are twofold. The first goal is to identify how herbivory affects the defense, growth, and reproduction of a semi-long-lived perennial plant. Now, this basic idea is we want to see how stress or constant damage caused by herbivory, so being eaten by insects or other mammals, will affect the primary life history functions that are necessary to succeeding as an organism, which are defense, growth, and reproduction. The second goal is to discern if this type of plant will exhibit trade-offs between these life history functions when carbon, which is a key resource for these functions, is in tension, and then if this is the case, between which traits those traits will occur within the functions. So this question is far more fundamental. It's getting at the heart of how do these organisms do everything they need to do to succeed while responding to their environments. So for example, if an organism needs to put more energy and resources to defense, will this result in a decrease of carbon allocation or resource allocation to reproduction or growth? And so the focal species for this research are Allegheny blackberry and Japanese wineberry, which are both members of the genus Rubus. Now, this genus has hundreds of species spread across 5 continents, all of which are predicted to produce edible fruits. This makes this genus valuable to study in terms of reproductive ecology, so we can better understand this potential food source moving forward. Now, the primary difference between these two species are that blackberry is native to North America and primarily uses prickles as their physical defense. Wineberry, on the other hand, is an invasive species in North America and primarily uses prickles, hairs, and trichomes, which are a type of glandular hair, to defend themselves physically. And so we conducted our field work in the summer of 2019. We collected data and samples from 52 plots spread across 10 properties in northern New Jersey. Now, in terms of the data we were collecting, we wanted to get as much information as we could about each of these individual life history functions. So we looked at traits related to defense, growth, and reproduction, as well as looked to the environment to see the rates of herbivory measured by the percent leaf loss, as well as the light availability, which is a good proxy for carbon availability in the environment. Now, due to time constraints, we can't discuss all of the results we obtained from this research, so we're going to focus on 2 key examples. We're going to look at the relationship between percent leaf loss and leaf toughness, as well as the relationship between average leaf size and the number of ripe fruits. So first, we have the relationship between percent leaf loss and leaf toughness, which was measured by the grams of material necessary to puncture a leaf using our leaf penetrometer. In this graph, each data point is an average for the data of the canes at each of our plots. Now, the blackberry is represented by the red data points and the best fit line, while wineberry is represented by the blue data points and the blue best fit line. Now, both of the lines generated for this graph were made using a multiple Poisson regression model. All of the relevant regression coefficients had a p-value less than 0.001, making these results statistically significant. Now, we're going to look at blackberry first, which is the red line sloping downwards. This is indicative of a negative relationship. So as percent leaf loss increases, the toughness of leaves decreases. And our model predicts that for every 1% increase in percent leaf loss, blackberry will decrease by 2% in terms of leaf toughness. Now, this could either be because the leaves are weak and they're able to be eaten further by these insects on the leaves, or as the rates of herbivory increase, blackberry is having less resources to put into the leaf toughness, making the leaves weaker. Now, what's interesting here is the relationship between these 2 variables for wineberry. As you can see, the line is sloping upwards. Our model predicts that for every 1% increase in percent leaf loss, that wineberry's leaf toughness will increase by 2%. Now, this is interesting because it indicates a level of inducibility for this defense. So as the rates of herbivory are increasing, the plant is responding by increasing resource allocation to the leaves and toughening them to try and prevent further loss. Now, this is, I think, particularly fascinating because it could be a good mechanism through which wineberry is succeeding over blackberry and thus becoming an invasive species in this area. Up next, we're going to look at the relationship between average leaf size, measured by centimeters squared, and then the number of ripe fruits produced per cane. This graph also, blackberry is represented by the red and wineberry by the blue. Now, both of these lines are statistically significant with p-values less than 0.001. And you'll notice that the relationship for both lines is negative. And so this is indicative of a trade-off. As average leaf size is increasing, the number of ripe fruits produced is decreasing. So you're seeing a trade-off between growth and defense. Now, our model predicts that both blackberry and wineberry are decreasing by 2% for every 1 square centimeter increase in average leaf size. And so you'll also notice that the lines look different. This is because our model also predicts that wineberry will be around 2 times larger than blackberry under identical circumstances. And so you'll see that this could also be a potentially useful mechanism for wineberry to succeed as an invasive. So under similar circumstances in terms of the size of leaves, which are essential for gathering resources, that wineberry is still able to have a higher reproductive output. And so this is very useful for wineberry, and it could merit further study to understand the mechanisms by which it's succeeding as an invasive species. And so, of course, this is all we can discuss right now in terms of the results we were getting. We also found evidence of other trade-offs and other significant relationships related to herbivory. And I believe it merits further research, which will be exciting to see in Dr. Alex Badges' prune lab at the school. Of course, some acknowledgements. I'd love to thank Drew University and the DSSI for providing me this opportunity to conduct this research. I'd love to thank Dr. Alex Badges for his mentorship throughout this entire process. I want to thank Colleen Dabrowski, Morgan Zelensky, and Tess Needham, without whom this research would have been impossible. They were helpful across the field season that summer and through this lab work the past year. I also want to thank Drs. Tammy Winfelder and Kimberly Choquette for serving on my thesis committee, and then Drew University, Morris County, the National Park Service, the Township of Randolph, Union County, and the Wildlife Preserves for allowing us to conduct this research on the properties. And here you have the references I used throughout this thesis writing process. And so again, I want to thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Enjoy the rest of your day.